Would also like to then take a moment just to introduce our speaker, Katie Wheeler, who is from Pikes Peak State College. With over a decade of teaching experience, Katie has built her career around strengthening her skills as an educator and supporting fellow faculty. She holds a BA and MA in communication from the University of Colorado at Colorado Springs and has taught in university, nonprofit, corporate, and liberal arts college settings. Since 2012, she has developed and redesigned courses, integrated high-flex technology, and applied equity-minded teaching frameworks to create collaborative learning environments. And at Pikes Peak State College, Katie has served as service learning coordinator, high-flex coordinator, and now director of the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, where she leads professional development programs and faculty training. Outside of work, she enjoys writing, reading, hiking, who everybody is required to do by law in Colorado, and time with the family. And with that, I'll hand things over to Katie as she shares her ideas on creating tabletop games and simulations with AI.
Fred, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you for having me here today. I am really excited to talk about AI and really excited to talk about how this can enhance learning and we can weave it into our classroom instruction. The first thing I'd like to do, since you got to know me a little bit, is I'd love for everyone to head over to the chat window and just let me know what department you teach in and think about one class you would most like to add an AI activity to. So go ahead and take one moment to head over to the chat. Let me know what you teach and what is one class you'd like to add an AI activity to. The hardest part of being a communication scholar is that I always want to fill in the silence, but I realize people are thinking and typing, which is wonderful. So Jeff, thank you for sharing. We've got that architecture, AutoCAD, advanced manufacturing, perfect, dental hygiene, wonderful, and an AI activity for the interprofessional collaboration. We've got English classes. This is a great mixture. Political science, perfect for those introductory government classes. IT program director, and yes, the D&D portion of this is extraordinarily helpful. I will not lie. I've used it quite a bit for D&D. And then using AI games. All right, we are on the right track here. Feel free to continue adding your names and your courses. I see communication, excellent. I want you to know just a couple of the goals that I have for today. In my workshops, I want to make sure that everything is as hands-on as possible. So as you're thinking about the class that you're going to add this activity to, we are going to make sure that we have some practical advice that we can use in the classroom right away. We're also going to have some real-world experiences. So today I'm going to show you some of the bots that I've created for my class activities. We are also going to leave with activities to try, and you are going to create a bot today. So your very own AI bot to put into your classroom. Some of the materials that I use for AI training include, first of all, one of my go-tos, the Teaching with AI book. Just by a raise of the digital or physical hand, who has read this book or seen it? Okay, we've got one. It is a great read and inspired a lot of ideas for me and got me thinking about how to infuse these activities into my classroom. The second one is the Norton Guide to Equity-Minded Teaching. And this one is building a classroom from the ground up, which brings me back into making sure any AI activity I use is meant for students. The third one is an older one. It's that dynamic lecturing. And it's one that I keep near and dear because it's about those active learning strategies. And whether we are using an AI tool or any other type of tool, it will always go back to that effective teaching. So excellent. Using that for a Gen AI bootcamp, Sierra, that is wonderful. Here's our specific game plan for today. I'm going to start out with just a couple of tips that I have come across for AI activities. At Pikes Peak State College, we created a community of practice around artificial intelligence to see how our students were reacting to it and using it. We then began to look at research, and it's starting to trickle in and increase to see how students could use an AI tool to enhance their learning. So that's where a lot of those tips come from. The next part is we're going to look at our learning outcomes and how to connect those to those active learning strategies. We're going to design a tabletop role play or simulation today, and then we're going to actually have an activity bot. Are we ready to get started? Okay, excellent. Then let's do this. We're going to start out with just some of the tips that I've come across for teaching with AI. And the first one that I cannot recommend enough is building some type of AI guide that is relevant to your classroom. The second one is making sure that you're providing students with enough training and the prompts that they can use so they're comfortable with artificial intelligence. One of the mistakes that I keep making as well is assuming that they know more than they do, and this has made a tremendous difference. The third one is really scaffold that AI tool introduction. Don't go straight to a high stakes assignment, but taking your time with no and low stakes. So let's take a look at the AI guide that I've been using and growing just a little bit as I first created this, and now I'm launching it full in all of my courses. I use Desire to Learn. That's what our system has. And in the content tab, I actually have this artificial intelligence guide there. I review it slowly over the first couple of weeks of classes. I don't try to get students into this immediately, and I bounce back to it as they're using some of our AI tools for their different activities and assignments. On the right-hand side, you can see how we structure and emphasize that AI assisted versus AI generated so that students gain that literacy needed to be effective in the workplace. I do have a guide up here. If you scan this QR code or head to the URL, you can copy it, paste it, use it as you need to, expand it. But the entire idea is that as students are using those AI tools, they have something from you as their educator to turn to help guide them. In the classroom, I focus on introducing that training slowly. So you could have an introduction, an icebreaker, something fun that they do early on in the semester. But then as you get closer to activity time, introduce something that's low stakes, no stakes, have students think more about how comfortable they are with AI, and then get them in there where they can play with it, mess with it, and see what else it can do. A lot of times we're using AI as sort of a fancy version of Google to look things up, but it's way more powerful than that. And so introducing students to how effective Notebook LM can be, how Napkin and AI can turn their text into visual representations. There's just so much more they can do to enhance their learning, but it has to start with this, with the training that we do and weave into our courses. In terms of AI literacy and ensuring that students walk away with something they can remember, I always format the AI assisted and how to infuse that into your classroom, and then when it is appropriate to have something generated. AI assisted means that I am using an AI tool to decrease the use of passive voice in my writing. I'm using an AI tool to fill in what am I missing. I'm using an AI tool to be a motivational coach as I'm preparing speeches. I'm using an AI tool to assist me with my job search. Versus when should it generate something for me? Well, I've been struggling with this concept for a while. I don't understand this theory. I've read it in the textbook. I've been in the lecture. I still don't get it. Then I need AI to generate a different way for me to learn, to create that video, to create a podcast, to make digital flashcards, or even to make some sort of visual representation to walk me through. That's when AI generation is helpful and supports the learning process. This is not how I explain it to students. I do make this a little more fun and upbeat. So I'll use the, hey, use it to check out passive voice. Use it to figure out if you've missed something in your outline that would help to enhance your presentation. For AI generation, it is kind of tragic for me to admit this to another community college system. But my state college's mascot is an aardvark. And if you've not been to Colorado, you might not know this, but there are no aardvarks in Colorado. And I have really struggled to find amazing aardvark artwork. Is that a good time to have AI generate something for me? Yeah, it tends to be very, very helpful. So that's usually the example that I'm using with students. You keep hearing me say this about taking small steps, really focusing on where's that no stakes, there's no grade associated with it. They just try out the AI tool, they discuss, they think about it. But then the next step is giving them some low stakes practice. So now we are going to do this exercise, but I'm going to grade you on your participation. The next part of that, now we've got more stake in it. You are writing your paper. Your paper is worth 5 to 10 points. 50 points are coming from the work that you've done in AI to assist you, and I'm going to be reading through how it has helped and worked with your thinking. So that's how I scaffold and build it so that they're learning those literacy skills, they're connected to the learning outcomes, and it has changed my approach to grading a little bit. But I will tell you what, with creating role plays and simulations, there is nothing more that I look forward to than seeing how my students bring communication concepts to life with an AI game. It is a joy to grade. So let's take our first step, and I'm going to model how I teach this, but also show you what it feels like to get into that new AI tool. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go to an AI tool with sort of a strange name. It's called Boodlebox. You head to boodlebox.ai, or you can scan the QR code. There is not currently an app for this, so on your phone, know that you'll be using the browser version. On your computer, you can use the URL, or I can always post this in here as well. It's that boodlebox.ai. And there you will be asked to create an account. So you can go in and create an account however you need to. Based on your institutional policies, I usually use my pikespeak.edu to set up my account. But if you need to use a Gmail or whatnot, feel free to do so. As soon as you have your account ready to go, give me a thumbs up. And then also know that I have a Seedlebot available for you. So this is the Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning. And this is how I did a 24/7 Seedle. I wish that I could say that I do all of my curriculum planning between the hours of 8 and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Has anyone figured out how to do that? Okay. If you do, I want to attend that workshop. So for me, I know I will be at 9 p.m. trying to update an activity and I'm feeling stuck, and that Seedlebot is extremely helpful there. So always have that bot up to help guide you in the creation of the activities that you do. So just to show you a little bit of where you are headed right now, this is that Boodlebox landing page. And is anyone struggling to get to this page? Feel free to raise a digital hand, put it in the chat, and I am here to help. Thank you. Excellent. If you are still getting in there, know that I'm talking, but I haven't gone anywhere. So if you run into a question, just raise that digital hand or put it in the chat window. The other item that I have for you is this Seedlebot. So this is a PlayLab bot. It is trained in the transparent teaching framework. It is trained in active learning strategies, and it's ready to help with any classroom format. I also have it lean more toward community college students, so it's aware of our student populations and that we are very teacher focused. So know that this is available to you at any time. You can fill out the front screen here. You can also click on Start, and this bot will help you out with any teaching questions that you have. I have this up, so if you are planning those simulations and role plays, it's a great place to get started. Now that we've had a chance to look at the tool, set up our accounts, we now need to think about what we are specifically working on. Who is excited to create some type of role play or simulation for your students? Okay, yes, excellent. Out of curiosity, does anyone else, I think Jeremy, you play Dungeons and Dragons. Anyone else playing Dungeons and Dragons? All right, that's okay. That's okay. So, oh, excellent. Tanner, you DM for a group every week. I'm seeing these other thumbs up. This is fantastic, y'all. So what we are talking about here is we are taking a classroom activity and we are making it fully engaging. There's a couple of different ways that we can think about these activities, and know that between simulations, role plays, and choose your own adventures, there are some overlapping areas on these. But you really want to think about what pathway you want students to take. Will it be a full simulation? And if I'm doing low stakes to no stakes, maybe that simulation begins in AI. They are going to walk through a simulation with a bot. Or I have them role play, which is where they aren't really using their own perspective anymore. Now they are stepping into the role, someone else's shoes. With both of these formats, I might also use a choose your own adventure or I leave it open-ended. So maybe they do have some options that they have to make, or it's as open-ended as possible. Let me bring this to life just a little bit and feel free to follow along if you'd like. In the chat window, I am sharing a link to a Boodlebox bot called Darth Draft. I'm also going to pull Darth Draft up on the screen. So feel free to click on this link. This bot will come up for you. And actually, I'm going to show you the back end of it. I really enjoy creating these AI bots. But here is how the bot is built. And then here is the student experience. So you see that you have landed in this area where you have to practice your email etiquette. And what Darth Draft will do for students when they click in here is to say, I am going to present you with a tricky situation that you have to resolve through email. So it asks what it should call me. I usually put in Princess Leia, but this is a professional workshop, so I'm putting Katie in here right now. But it will take just a moment, and this is powered by Claude AI. So that means that it is a little more creative. It's going to use the information that I fed it, and it's going to do a full simulated interaction with students. So they're using this role play element where they're trying to resolve this customer service situation, but they're also bringing their email etiquette to life. So here you can see that it's given them an email that they then try to go in and resolve. For simulations, one of my go-to bots for this, especially to bring to life some of the interpersonal communication elements we're working on, so those one-to-one conversations that individuals are having, is this next bot. And if you know Star Wars, you might see a little bit of a theme here, but this is my Ahsoka bot. And this one is a true role play. So our students are stepping into the shoes as though they are friends with this individual. And y'all, when they get in here, look at the first text they receive. If you receive this text, feel free to choose any emoji reaction. What would be your first gut reaction? I'm not seeing too many reactions quite yet. Would anyone be excited to see this text? Okay, I see them. I see them. It's kind of like, what do we do? So it causes just a little bit of that anxiety of, ooh, now I need to react to this. And so we say, sure, let's see what's up. We'll go ahead and chat with you. And they come up, this bot will come up with a different example for every single student, and they have to work through the conversation. So when I'm looking at how they're bringing friendship maintenance strategies to life, this is what I'm reading through, and this is what they're working on. So it's an absolute simulation for them of this conversation that they would have. There's no risks, there's no stakes to it. It is just working on those skills. And on my side, I can go in and see how they're doing. So that's just a couple of the ways to bring these approaches to life. For choose your own adventure, instead of it being so open-ended, they might actually select 1, 2, 3, 4 as the reaction that they will have. And I'll show what that looks like a little bit later. So now how comfortable do we feel about the differences between a simulation, role play, and a choose your own adventure? Feel free to use any emoji or type it in the chat to let me know how you're doing. Okay, good. All right, then it is time for us to take this on our own. For creating those simulations, there are two excellent ways to build this in AI. The tools that are really great go-tos are first ChatGPT. It could be one of the models that are free and available, or if you happen to have a subscription to the latest model, the ChatGPT 5, that one works really well. No matter what, it will present students with more of that complex multi-step problem solving. But Gemini is able to do this as well, and Gemini can store a large knowledge bank. So those are two of the go-tos for those simulations. As you're preparing a simulation, you might use an AI tool to build the simulation for you. It might create some roles or ideas that students need to keep in mind. It could give you a script or a guide step by step of what you can say and what you can do in the classroom. I use an aardvark advertising agency for my students when we're examining the effects of advertising. So they are in a simulation where they have to pretend they are running a campaign from the 1950s to today. And AI was helpful in two ways. First, I was able to build a bot to have them practice that with a choose your own adventure. And then they brought it to life in the classroom to really talk about what are the impacts of advertising and what influences do they have on society. So here my students are using higher levels of Bloom's taxonomy. They've done the reading, they've started with that practice, but now we're getting into that analysis. Now we're getting into that creation from the knowledge that we have. So it is enhancing their learning. The next part of this is that it is a true flipped classroom approach. And this can be used in person, it can be used via HyFlex, it can be used online, but it's an active learning strategy. So it's not me just talking through friendship maintenance behaviors, but they are bringing this information to life. And this third one here as well is if you are looking to infuse your classroom with some of those high impact practices or those practices that have a great impact on students, this is a brilliant way to do that. So I have a simulation cheat sheet here that will help you to begin to think about how you would build that simulation and put it together using AI. The next one I have too, though, is creating some fun role plays for the classroom. And these are great if you decide to use the Seedlebot or a Boodlebox chat to build your D&D campaign. What you'll see in a moment with the worksheet that I've shared, we created a D&D campaign that we put our leadership through. We took a 1-week leadership training course at my institution, and we were told to create something at the end of the week to show our leadership what we learned and what we got out of this. And I kid you not, we had these incredible individuals sitting around a table in a classroom with a set of dice, rolling different leadership styles and talking about how they would do some things at the college and reflecting on their own leadership experiences. I have repeated that in the classroom, and it is magnificent. This idea comes from the Teaching with AI. It's also very much stolen from history classes, and they have Reacting to the Past, where they've already been doing this work, but now we can do it across more of our disciplines. Think about the shoes that your students could step into and how they could play through bringing your course material to life. Two of the models that work extremely well with this. First, I put Claude because Claude is my absolute favorite for role plays. Claude acts more creatively. It will give a variety of scenarios that are relevant to students, and it has that full interaction, so it reacts to what the student is putting into it. But another one that they can use is Gemini. So Gemini has that storytelling ability. It does not always give as many details as Claude, but it still will meet the learning outcomes. With role plays, here is a cheat sheet for you so you can go in and start to think about the type of role play you would build. And just know that whenever a student says, I have to do group work, I can't believe there's so much group work in college, you say, well, here's a way to do group work and actually learn the strategies that go into problem solving and negotiation. I have heard many times, should I put my D&D, my Dungeons and Dragons group on my resume? And for me, I say, well, yes. And now you're going to put something from the classroom that you experienced onto your resume. So this is something very memorable for our students. But next is you can decide how to scale this. Sometimes my role plays will be one class. Sometimes they will be 1 or 2 weeks in an online course, or you could have something that students keep going back to throughout the entire semester. The third one as well, and this is my favorite, is students do increase that sense of belonging when they are working together to resolve these problems. And you, as the educator, can present them with some pretty tough real world problems that they get to work on in the safest space possible. So our next step, our next mission is to go ahead and make a plan. You've shared what you teach. You've started to think about the course that you want to put an AI activity into. So your next step is to take a moment to write. I want you to go to the learning outcome that you'll be applying in this activity. Or if you are using this for a Dungeons and Dragons campaign, I want you to think about a module you'd like to build in that campaign. Think about whether you need a simulation, if you want to do a role play, if you want to try that choose your own adventure, but begin to narrow that down. I want you to really take a moment to think, write down your plan, and then just give me an emoji of your choice when you are all set. And we're going to go into breakout rooms to have our plan ready to go before we build an interactive AI bot. And go ahead and begin to wrap up those thoughts that you have. You are going to head to a breakout room for 5 minutes. I have these created so they're very small. You'll only have 1 or 2 other individuals in the breakout room. Now is a good time just to make sure that microphone is working and you can fully interact with whoever's in your room. I want you to share your plans with one another. See if you have any questions or other ideas, and then I will bring you back to this main room. And I have it set for 5 minutes, but 6 minutes so you can get in there and make sure you're fully settled. So here we go. I am opening those rooms right now. Excellent. Welcome. Welcome back, everyone. I am sincerely hopeful that those conversations were helpful in getting your idea together. And here's what I'm asking everyone to do. So I'm eagerly looking at the chat to see these ideas popping up. But what idea did you come up with? Go ahead and put it into the chat, letting us know if it's a simulation, a role play, and what it would look like. We're just going to take about 30 seconds to a minute to add our ideas to the chat window. If you say, I don't feel like chatting, I'd rather just talk, raise your physical hand and I'll add you to the speaking order. Excellent. I'm starting to see those coming in here. Final adventure of a campaign. 5 store-bought modules into 1 grand campaign. I love that. AI is going to be very helpful with that. A role play when interviewing software or hardware vendors. That's a really good idea. A business case study as a consultant or advisor to a company. Excellent, Brian. I love that idea. And an escape room. Okay, the bot I made for an escape room is not helpful. So we need to work on an escape room bot. Okay, these ideas are great. Keep adding them to the chat window. So if you're still typing, that's perfectly fine. But these will help to spark more ideas, and I highly recommend, however you're connecting with your colleagues, keep these ideas going. So what we're going to do next is we are actually going to make a bot. You should now have your Boodlebox account ready to go, and I want to talk for just a moment about the advantage of creating a bot. Early on when I was doing these trainings, I had individuals copying the prompt that they wanted to use. They had to paste it into an AI tool of their choice, and then that AI tool would start to react as that role play or that simulation. It wasn't bad and it worked for the time, but y'all, now it's later in 2025 and we have access to creating AI bots that are highly interactive, and they take away having to put the prompt into the AI tool, and instead I give students a link, they're able to use that, and we're moving with the activity much faster. So this is our game plan today. I also want to acknowledge in the chat, I'm seeing some more of these good ideas. Using operant conditioning to train a stray dog you found. Love that. I can see that as a simulation or a role play. It might be a blend of both of them. And then a game where they explore 90s terms. Jessica, I love this idea so much. I've got my Princess Diana book up here. I love talking about Beanie Babies. I teach popular culture. So creating bots for popular culture is a game changer. So what we're using today is a bot builder that you have access to with the free models that are in it. And it works really well free. You don't have to subscribe to it. Students don't have to subscribe to it. But what Boodlebox does is it's a platform that brings these AI tools together. The AI tool or platform P-O-E, will do something very similar to this. So we can actually purposefully build our bots to function the way we want them to. We can also do this without having to know how to code intensely. We do not have to be prompt engineers. We don't have to thoroughly understand how to do this because guess what? It's 2025 and there's a bot for that. So we are going to use a bot to help us build bots. We also get to close our bot. We get to put guardrails and guidelines on it. So this bot is not accessing anything that I do not want it to access. I really get to lock it in. And then also with Boodlebox, and I'm not here to sell you Boodlebox. I almost sound like I'm doing an infomercial, but I'm truly not. But what I love about it is that students can chat with one another outside of the bot and then turn on that bot simulation again so they're working with it. So let me show you a little bit of what I'm talking about, and we're going to go in and build our very first bot. So here are the steps that we're going to use. We figured out our purpose. We are going to think about workflow and the knowledge bank and testing this, but know that these two steps here, phases 2 and 3, we have a bot to help us with that. And then this fourth phase here, the testing one, is where you have got to test and test that over and over again to make sure this bot is doing what you want it to do. So let's hop into this Boodlebox environment and begin to build our very first bot. So you're going to head to the bot builder option. It is across the top. I'm going to zoom in here. You've got the logo in the upper left-hand corner. Then you have chat, knowledge bank, and the bot builder is the third button here. When you click on bot builder, and it's up to you if you want to listen to me, I will talk through this process. But if you also say, I'm just going to watch you do it, Katie, and then I'm going to do it, feel free to do that. You can also exit the full screen for Zoom and pull it side by side so that you can have your Boodlebox up, and then I'll be here as well. So know that a lot of those options work. Once you're in bot builder, we select the purple button in the upper right-hand corner where it says to build a bot. For here, just put in any name you want right now. So you can see that I've got a couple of these that I've been working on, but I am just going to do a test bot here, and this is going to help us with the 90s. Jessica, I'm going to kind of steal that idea that we have and use that as an example. Under the bot description, for now, do not add a bot description. Just put in some type of letter there so it will let you move forward, and you just hit continue. This is the part that makes us hesitate just a little bit because there wasn't a lot of guidance on this. Well, okay, what am I actually supposed to do for this bot? What do I put in here? Where do I get started? And I have built bots from scratch. I like to do that. It's just something that I really got into. You never have to build a bot from scratch. So what you're going to do on the left-hand side is skip instructions, skip settings, skip knowledge for now, and go down to the assistant. The assistant is the bot that will help us build a bot. So this will pull up the bot builder screen. I can then go in and start a whole new chat. Now that I'm in here with this bot, I'm going to tell it, and Jessica, I'm going up to yours where it says I want to build a game. So I'm going to say create a game and I'm going to let it know students, because I want to be specific, explore 90s terms. After this, I am going to go over to my learning outcomes. If this is in your syllabus, if this is through your system, wherever it might be, I'm going to take a look at these learning outcomes and figure which ones I'm applying. And for this one, maybe this is my interpersonal. I'm going to switch over to popular culture. And I'm going to start with them analyzing content, form, and theme. But you can see how this even gets us back into good teaching because we're making sure that I can't multitask, are grounding everything in our learning outcomes. So right now you are telling this bot, I want you to create this style of activity. You can pull that directly from your Zoom chat, or you can type it in here. Find your learning outcome. And after you have that, this bot builder has put together a bot for me. Here is where the human comes into the process because I need to check the name, the description, make sure it works for what I'm trying to do. And I begin to plug this into my bot area. So I'm going to drag this to the other side here. I am going to put up the bot that I was building on the left side. This is just a way that I found that I can do it. You could, if you have two monitors, do it that way. I've got y'all on my other monitor, so usually I'd have it over here. But get these side by side so that you could be working on both of them and copy and paste it. Underneath settings, I am literally putting the name in here. It came up with Beanie Mania as a time machine. It will automatically put in a bot alias for me. Underneath this, it has a bot description that I can copy and paste over here and start to read through and make sure it's relevant. It will usually come up with something that's a little bit longer, so I will shorten this description. And anywhere where it says students will analyze, I will change it to you will analyze how this pop culture phenomenon. So that way, when students see it pop up, it's speaking directly to them. Underneath this, the greeting is everything because it tells students what to do. And what I noticed in class, the first time I brought this up, they said, "What is this? I'm not sure what I'm doing in here." And then they started to read through it and they were fully interacting with the bot and working through the game. So here we've got this set up with a greeting for them and how would you like to begin your journey? I will sometimes change this to, are you ready to get started? And that's been a really good one to help students get into it. The next part with these instructions where it says bot expertise and role, your learning objectives, the workflow, delete it all. You don't need it in there. I keep the guidelines and limitations, and I might add a few things to that. But this bot builder over here has built and expanded on a bot with instructions that you can use and start testing. The human is a huge element in this process because you are the educator, you understand your learning outcomes, you understand what this activity will help students to do. So now you can start testing this bot out. Here's our Beanie Mania time machine. I could say, yes, I'm ready to get started. And you could start to work through it and see if it's doing what you want it to do. If you want this to be a choose your own adventure, you might head over here and add on, make this a choose your own adventure, and it will give them options that they can choose from. You can also say, make this open-ended. And that's what tells the bot if this is going to be a simulation, if it's going to be a role play, how it will function. The great part about us building bots as well is I can go over to this knowledge bank here. I can add 10 pieces of knowledge to it, which bots that have more than 10 pieces of knowledge do not function as well. So kind of limit it. Only have the chapter you're working on, only have your lecture notes. You don't want to have too much living in there because it's overwhelming for that bot. If you are working on a bot to help you with administrative tasks and you want it to have multiple policy manuals, just have a bot that knows each policy manual and bundle them together so one bot can tell you which one to talk to. So just start to think about that. I want to build this for a specific activity, but maybe there's a series of activities I want to do. Think carefully about the knowledge that will go into that. And for this knowledge bank, I'm spoiled with my communication courses. We have OERs, so I put entire OERs in here. I've got images that they might be working on, assessments. All of my teaching materials go in here so that it really locks down the bot. I only want it to have these worksheets. I update that, and now it will only pull from those worksheets. I can also go in here and give it more of a guideline and say, only pull your information from the knowledge bank. And that means it's not going to Google, it's not going to random websites, it's going only to where I told it to go to pull information for the bot. Now, once my bot is ready, I can hit publish. I've got this link here, and I will put this into my course learning management system. I will create a QR code or a bit.ly link to share it with students. And next thing I knew, and I did not know how this would go the first time I did it, and now it's one of my favorite activity techniques, is students are in the classroom. They are role-playing as an advertising executive. They are role-playing as a public speaking mentor. They are role-playing as one of the board members of Tylenol and Johnson & Johnson and trying to resolve a real-world problem. So it's not me talking about leadership techniques. It's not me talking about effective public speaking. They are in the shoes of decision makers, and AI has made that much easier to do. You've got this recording, and know that these are just some steps you can take to build that AI bot. But the next part is testing as much as possible. Let your students know, hey, I'm trying this out for the first time. Give me some feedback. Let me know how it's going. And then even once they've completed it, you can have them share the link to the discussion with you. You can dig into some of the other tools in Boodlebox as well. My students are in a course, so I can see what they've worked on. And that becomes a part of the process and how students are learning. We have covered a lot today. We have talked about enhancing student learning with some activities and scenarios that we can use. No matter what, start really small. Think about one tool that you want to use or one activity. It can become very tempting to want to have a bot every single week. Don't do it. That's very overwhelming. So just one here, one there, but keeping it as simple as possible. And then really modifying each activity so it's relevant for your courses and your teaching style. So just know that you can change the tone, you can edit the bot. There's a lot more you can do with it. So I see a couple of questions here. How do you review student replies in Boodlebox? I love this question. If you head over to the bot window that it's in, you can actually add people to the chat here. So if I copy this link and send it over here and you click on it, you can now read through the interaction that I'm having with the bot. And then if you go over here to the, it looks like a little brain in the corner, and you select it to message mode, it takes it out of the bot, and you can tell a student, hey, really like what you're working on here. Don't forget. And then that comes up as a message in the bot. So it goes directly to them. It's not messing with the bot at all. And then I go in and turn that off, and I'm back into the role play scenario. So I hope that helps, Brian, with how you view that for students. Were there any other questions I could answer from today? Then I want to thank you so much for having me here. It has been a pleasure to talk to you about these different AI tools. Tomorrow, I am doing flipping the discussion board, and in that one, we're going to take our role plays, our simulations, our choose your own adventures, and figure out how to turn a discussion board into an interactive learning space. So thank you so much for joining me today. Fred, I will hand it over to you.
Well, thank you, Katie. Fantastic session. And the committees that we have on campus have already sort of acknowledged the desire to explore Boodlebox. And so you have taken us in a yeoman's direction to be able to see how you use it in the classroom. But Katie, wanted to thank you for today and thank all of you for joining us.